President Trump began his term by emphasizing the government needs to provide better customer service. I couldn't agree more. In fact, I tell my team oftentimes that we're in the customer service business. I spent 28 years in the private sector before coming to Capitol Hill. We need to provide better customer service to the American people. One of the best ways to bring about better customer service is to start by hiring certainly better employees. The President also recognized in the State of the Union address that hiring good employees also means you need to fire bad ones, particularly in places like the VA. When I was leading organizations for Procter & Gamble for 13 years, in fact, my first job at the age of 21 years old at P&G, I was managing a team of 30 people right out of college. They had a management development program. They said, Steve, here's a team of 30 people. Go get them. I was 21. So you learn a lot by trial and error. But later on in my career, when I would teach and train new managers and more experienced managers about what's the most important thing about management, I would say the three most important things about management, your highest priorities. Number one is hiring. Number two is hiring. Number three is hiring. Because when you hire well, it makes all the difference in terms of outcomes in organizations. But with an average time to hire, as was noted, of 106 days in FY17, we know that agencies aren't getting as many good candidates as they could. And we see this because your best candidates can't stand to wait when there's easier job offers elsewhere. Your mediocre candidates and your lower performing candidates, which we shouldn't be trying to hire in the first place, but they'll be the first ones to hang out for 106 days because they have no other options. The best people have 3 or 4 options. And to me, we're never going to be able to hire and retain the best people unless we can shorten up this time to hire. Mr. Reinhold, the objective of successful hiring is certainly having a good, or I would even argue, a great workforce. Taking this good to great analogy, we used to be required reading in organizations that I used to manage. Part of having a good workforce is to expeditiously fire bad employees. Because when you don't do that, as we know, it demoralizes your best people when you see that bad performers aren't held accountable. We recently saw the Department of Interior, our Secretary Ryan Zinke, take necessary steps by terminating 4 senior employees on the basis of workplace harassment, including sexual harassment. My question is, what are the barriers to firing employees who are poorly performing or have engaged in misconduct?
Thank you for that question. So I think there are several. I think you could point to some of the, I'll call them provisions or constraints of the system where we need to take a fresh look at the basic rules and laws and regulations that govern how we do performance management and accountability. I think another piece of that, though, even without substantive reform, is figuring out how we execute better, making sure that managers are held accountable for being managers and taking appropriate actions when there is misconduct or poor performance.